Alright, welcome back guys. So if you watched the last video, you would know that I said that that video was actually the last of the syllabus content. However, I did add a few extra kind of functions to the website just to allow us to do, maybe let's say to allow us to make some more interesting programs. For example, some games, some animations, alright, things like that. So in this video, I'll just demonstrate how to use those. So the first one is actually going to be try catch. Now, if you're familiar with programming, this is just catching exceptions. Now, this is actually in the book, right? Although if we look here in the official pseudocode guide, this is actually not included in the guide. But again, it might be useful just to sort of have a go at this. Right, we can also use time, so this will return us the current time in milliseconds. Then we can also use wait, so this will just pause execution for a specific time. Again, I think also in milliseconds, right? And then we can use clear, well, just to clear the console, right, or clear the terminal. So yeah, let's just jump in and have a go at these. And in order to demonstrate them, I'll just create like 3 sort of programs here. And actually, I mean, although I'm going to be demonstrating, these sort of, let's say 4 features, right, 4 functions, we will also be looking at, say, reading from files. I mean, here, we're going to have sort of if statements, for loops, right? So, it will also be good practice. Right, so let's just go ahead and try this try catch. So if, for example, let's write one without having a try catch. So we just want to, for example, read this square.txt, okay, and then just output this here. So yeah, we just want to read the file and then, output the lines. Now, if you remember how we can do that, we can just go declare. Let's call it file or file name, right? This will be of type string. Then what we can do, we can say open file, and right, I'm going to sort of deliberately give it the wrong name. In fact, sorry, let's just assign this an actual value. So let's say this can be, I don't know, square .tx, right? Whereas it should be, txt. So we're going to say open file, then we say for read, and then if you remember how to read from a file, right, then we just go, while not end of file, and this takes the file as a parameter, right? Then, well, this do is actually optional, but I'm going to include it here. Yeah, in the old pseudocode guide, it said you did need this do. However, in the new pseudocode guide, they actually don't include this, and it seems some of the mark schemes they have it, some of the mark schemes they don't. So yeah, I mean, I will just include it, but again, for the website, it's just going to be optional. Right, and then I think what we can do, let's also declare a line. Right, and then here, if we just go read file, add the file we want to read is going to be this file, and then we want to read the line into this line variable. Right, and then, okay, there we go. Then let's just go output line, and let's go here and just remember to close the file. Now this should give us an error, it will say sort of file not found or something. Yeah, okay, so file square.txt doesn't exist. And let's just say here output, I don't know, maybe like next part of program or something. Because yeah, let's imagine that, there's sort of hundreds of lines of this program. Now, obviously what this means is that, well, if it crashes here, right, then it is not going to do any of this. So yeah, we run this and, basically the program never gets to this point, right? It's never going to continue. So that's where here we can just go, let's say try catch. So this will be the code that we want to try, right? And then if there's an error, okay, let's go catch. Right, and then we just go end try here. Right, and then so basically if there's an error, well, then this is the code that will happen, right, if there's an error. So let's say output, and I mean, if we want, we could just have the try catch just around this open file, right, but I'm just going to do it, around the whole thing. Let's say an error occurred, does, and then let's say the file name, let's say exist. And we'll just sort of put this inside single quotes here. Alright, and yeah, let's see if this works. And right, it's saying that here I've actually forgot the ampersand. Right, let's run this again. And yeah, okay, so now, I mean, now you see it, it's going to output this, right? But then it's also going to continue, it's going to continue on with the program, right? So the benefit of having a try catch, well, you know, we can actually do some code if we detect the error, right? And also it means that, well, because the error is caught, or yeah, because the exception is caught, right, then it means the program can continue. And you know, we might want to have some sort of maybe some other checks here, you know, just to for example, just to check if this was successful. So we could have maybe a boolean here, and then, you know, let's say here we can go success, right? Then the success can be true. And for example, let's go here, declare, right? Let's declare this success. Right, this will be of type boolean, and let's just assign this the value of false to start with. And then, for example, you know, we can have an if statement, right? So we can say if success equals true, you know, then maybe we can sort of successfully continue to the next part of the program. Whereas, yeah, else if success was false, then I guess maybe we could, you know, do some other code. Yeah, maybe, you know, tell the user to, I don't know, tell the user there's been an error, basically. Right, but I mean, hopefully that makes sense for this try catch. So I think now we can probably look at the next one. And yeah, I'm just going to clear all of this. So, I mean, this one's actually pretty simple. We can just go output time. And here if we see, well, this takes a time zone, which is going to be a real. And then the time zone is the offset in hours compared to GMT. So yeah, Greenwich Mean Time. So if we want, you know, GMT plus 2, right, then we would use time 2. And well, because it's real, right, we can also have, for example, 5.5, which that's going to be, yeah, for, you know, some time zones are actually sort of, you know, 0.5, right, so plus 30 minutes. Although, yeah, most time zones are just like integers, to be honest. So, I mean, let's just try time 0. All right, so we'll see what the time is. I mean, let's say in London, right, or GMT. And okay, so, I mean, this is probably a bit confusing. But like I said, this was actually the time in milliseconds. And I think if we just, yeah, I'm just, okay, we can zoom, we can scroll down. Basically, this is going to be the UTC timestamp. Now you can search, you know, you can search that, right? You'll get a definition for what UTC is. But basically, this is the number of milliseconds since, well, the 1st of January 1970, right? So that's how many milliseconds have passed. Now we can actually test that this works. So let's try, for example, wait. And I think wait is actually a procedure. So let's use call. Right, let's say here, and this, okay, this is also going to be the time to pause in milliseconds. So let's try like 5,000, and then let's just go output time 0 again. So basically, you know, this should output the time, right? Then it's going to wait, you know, 5,000 milliseconds. Then it should output the time again. And, you know, the difference, I mean, it should be approximately 5,000. Probably it won't be perfect, but yeah, let's just see this. And okay, so we've gone from yeah, so we've gone from what, 6,100 to, I guess, 11,000, or yeah, so well, you know, 1,100. Yeah, so I think that's fine. I mean, it's just added about what, 8 thousandths of a millisecond, but I mean that's nearly correct. If we try 1 second. And yeah, again, I mean, basically there's been like a 6 1,000ths of a second kind of addition, but I mean, yeah, that's going to be approximately, you know, 1,000, right, 1,000 milliseconds. So right, let's actually use this then to create a game, and what the game will do is it will ask the user, for example, you know, wait maybe 7 seconds, and then the user has to like press enter, right, when they think 7 seconds has elapsed. And then what the program will do is it will calculate how accurate the user's guess was. So effectively, you know, just calculating kind of how accurately the user can count time, right? So in order to do that, well, let's just declare some variables. Now, probably we're going to want to have start time, and then I think we're also going to want end time, just to actually calculate the difference. And then we could also go maybe, yeah, I mean, let's call it maybe like like real time, or I mean, okay, I think we can just go user guess. That should be okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think that's in fact, no, sorry, I think we don't need this user guess. I mean, let's just try with this, all right, and then see what we need to add. So let's say these, I mean, these can actually be integers, right? Because yeah, we see here they're just going to be integers. So what we can do, let's go start time, and this can equal, well, that's going to be time, and yeah, we can just use time zone 0. Right, then let's say maybe we want a random time to wait. So let's say, yeah, maybe time, right, time to wait. And then I think here we can just generate a random number, because we don't want to say, you know, the user waits 5 seconds every time. Yeah, let's give them a different random number. So let's go time to wait, and this can be a random number, let's say between 3 and 10, because yeah, we don't want it to be too short. So let's say then if we want to go int, right, let's get random. And right, if we want to get between 3 and 10, well, I think if we go 7, that should get from 0 to 6. So yeah, let's go 7. And then I think here we can just go +3. Yeah, okay, so I think this should work. Because right, this should get between 0 and 7. Right, then of course we just +3, so that's going to be, you know, 3 to 10. Right, then what we can do, let's output. So let's say press enter when, and then we'll say time to wait, and let's say seconds have passed. Right, now I'm just going to move this across just to prevent the word wrap. Right, and then I guess here then we can just go input. Okay, input, and I mean, honestly, we can just input, I mean, like nothing, to be honest. So maybe let's just call this temp, right? This can be a string. And I suppose the user can type anything if they want, right? Or it can just be like a, you know, just press enter, right? Just an empty input. Right, and then I guess what we want to do is we want to calculate the time elapsed. So in order to do that, well, we can go end time, right? And then that can be the time after this. Yeah, okay. And then if we go here, yeah, maybe let's, I don't know, sort of like user's guess, I guess this can be, or, you know, this can be the time elapsed. Let's say time elapsed, I think that's fine. So here then, the time elapsed, well, we think basically this is just the end time minus the start time, right? That's going to be how much time has passed. Right, and then I guess then we just want to calculate the difference, right? So the difference between the actual time elapsed and, you know, the time to wait here. Now we will need to do this time to wait multiplied by 1000, right? Because well, this time elapsed is going to be in milliseconds, right? So we also need to convert, you know, this seconds into milliseconds. So let's say, right, let's say maybe difference. Yeah, and I think, right, this can also be an integer. So here, let's go difference, and the difference is going to be equal to the, I mean, let's just go time elapsed, right, and then let's say minus time to wait, and let's put this in brackets, right, time to wait multiplied by 1000, because let's say if they have to wait 7 seconds, right, but they actually wait, you know, 7.5 seconds, so in effect, right, that's going to be 7,500, you know, minus 7,000, right, then that will tell us that basically, you know, they were 500 off. Now, the problem with this is if, for example, well, you know, they think 7 seconds has passed after 6.5 seconds, right, then we're going to get a negative difference. So what we're also going to need, we're going to need a function to convert this to the absolute value. So let's just go ABS like this. Right, and then I think here we can actually create this. So let's go function, I mean, or, well, okay, let's just call it absolute. And then here we say this is going to take an integer called n. right, then it's just going to return, right, so it's going to return an integer. And then really we can just check, I mean, so let's go, right, if n is less than 0, then let's just go maybe return minus n, right, or we could do, you know, n multiplied by -1. But yeah, that should work. Right, else, well, then we just return n. And yeah, then let's just go end if. And right, I'm just going to put that on a new line. So yeah, this is saying, well, if n is negative, right, then we're just going to return, you know, minus n. Because if we think, right, minus 500, then if we do a minus of minus 500, you know, that's going to become 500. Yeah, else if it's, well, 0 or greater, you know, then we're just returning the original. And yeah, let's call this absolute. And I think that should be okay. And then, right, let's just print out. Yeah, okay. So let's print out maybe, yeah, I know you had to wait. And this is going to be, right, that's going to be time to wait. I don't know, yeah, but you waited, and then we can actually print out the real time elapsed. So that's going to be, yeah. Okay, right, this one is going to be time elapsed. And then let's say, I don't know, yeah, the difference, right, so the difference was, and then we'll just, yeah, output the difference like this. Alright, so let's just see if that works. And yeah, let me just try and, okay, there we go. Right, yeah, I mean, let's just see if that works. Right, probably there's going to be a mistake somewhere. Right, so press enter when 4. Right, again, so I forgot the ampersand there. Alright, let's try again. Okay, so it says, yeah, you had to wait 3. And I guess we could go, you know, 3 seconds. But you waited, and then, you know, this can be milliseconds. Again, that's really annoying. I think I'll just ignore that. But yeah, I mean, that seems to work, right? So you had to wait 3 seconds. Let's try again. Okay, yeah, super rally. I think my counting was bad. Yeah, but I mean, again, right, this seems to work. And then if we try one that's maybe too long, so let's wait maybe 6 seconds, right, too long. Yeah, I think that's definitely too much. And yeah, okay, the difference was 2857, right? So yeah, I think that's working quite well. And then obviously if you wanted to make this a real game, then of course, you know, you could have maybe a, you know, repeat loop or something, you know, repeat until, and then yeah, ask the user 3 times, you know, calculate their average or something like that. Or you could say that the user can only continue, right, if their guess is within 10%, right, or if their guess is within 1 second, and you know, just kind of count how many levels they can kind of progress to. Alright, so let me just try and fix this. Okay, so let's just demonstrate the final challenge that we want to do here then. So let me just run this. Right, now first it's going to say enter a square size. I'm going to choose 10, and then we'll just see, it will just give us a nice little animation here. And yeah, right, so I mean the animation is almost like one of those old, you know, retro kind of games. Something like a game over screen, you know, maybe for Snake, or yeah, some other, you know, arcade kind of game. Right, so I mean, yeah, this is just what we want to create. Now I'm just going to delete all of this, yeah, because that was the code, you know, for the sort of final version. But right, I mean, first let's just demonstrate how we can actually use that clear. So let's go output and let's just say hello, right, and then here if we call clear, and in fact let's just read this. So again, it says additional procedure not included on the syllabus, but all it's going to do is just, well, clear the output console. Right, so then if we just go output and let's say world, now the problem is this will be so quick we won't even be able to see hello, because it's going to output hello, right, then it's going to clear the console, right, then it's going to output world. And yeah, you know, we can see that here. Now what we can actually do is if we go call, let's say wait, and here we can wait maybe 1 second, right, and then we can actually see it. Okay, so yeah, we see it says hello, right, then it waited, then it said world. And you know, I mean, obviously, while this can be useful for, say, animations, but it can also be useful for things like games. Because let's say maybe you have a sort of turn-based game, or, you know, sort of multiplayer game. So player one can make a move, right? You know, you can sort of output the board, and then maybe you want to sort of clear, you know, you want to clear the screen, and then player two makes their move. So something like, you know, say noughts and crosses, or yeah, tic-tac-toe, right? Maybe you only want to show the current board, right? So you can obviously just clear it after they've made their move. So yeah, hopefully this makes sense, right? So I think now then we can actually just look at how we can, you know, make this animation. And if you notice how this works, well, obviously, you know, the top row here is going to be all green. So this is starting from, you know, 1, 1. Then if we look at the orange, well, the orange, this will start from the, well, I mean, the column will be the length, right? So if we've got a 10 by 10, it's going to start from column 10. But, you know, the row is actually going to be sort of row 2. And then if we look at the blue, well, here the row is going to be 10, right? But the, the starting position is going to be, what, the length minus 1. And then if we look at this one, well, here we say the row is going to be the length minus 1, right? And then the column is going to be 1. And then, for example, when we go the next time around, well, then we're going to start on this green. So this one here, well, this is going to be, I mean, I guess, well, this is just the row plus 1 and then the column plus 1. All right, so, I mean, we're just going to need some variables in order to sort of store the offset. In order to get us to calculate, you know, the current position that we want to, you know, change, right? Or the current position we want to sort of animate or, you know, add the color to. So, I mean, first we think, well, we can just represent this grid as an array. Okay, it's just a 2D array of rows and columns. So if we just go declare, right, let's call it grid, and yeah, let's go array. And in fact, probably before we do this, actually, let's actually prompt the user, right? So ask the user to input the grid size. So let's go declare, let's call this grid size, right? This can be integer. Then we'll just go output, let's say, yeah, enter grid size. Right, and of course, yeah, then we can just input this. Right, and then here we can go, so the rows will be, well, 1 until grid size, and likewise the columns will also be 1 until grid size, right, because it's just going to be a square, so yeah, n by n array. Right, then the data type, well, this can be of char, right, because, yeah, these emojis, they're just characters. Now, if you noticed at the start, well, at the start, every cell is just going to be black, right? So we're just going to use this black square. So what we want to do, well, we just want to loop through and, you know, populate every single cell, right, with that black square. Now, if you remember, you know, we can loop through a 2D array just with, you know, a nested loop. Likewise, we can loop through, you know, a 3D array with sort of 2 nested loops, right? 4D array, you know, sort of 3 levels of nesting. So yeah, let's just look at how we can do that. So if we just say for, right, then we start on the row. Okay, so we start on this kind of first one, right? We're looping through the rows, right? Then once we loop through the rows, then we loop through the columns. I suppose actually, yeah, maybe that's not really the best description. Basically, we're saying, well, yeah, the row loop is going to be the outer loop, right? Then the column loop is going to be the inner loop. So that's actually going to start on row 1, right? So this, you know, row 1 here. Then it's going to go, well, row 1, column 1, right? Row 1, column 2, row 1, column 3, right? Obviously all the way to the end. Then when it gets to the end, well, then it's going to go to row 2. And then, of course, well, row 2, column 1, you know, row 2, column 2, right, etc. Yeah, all the way until, you know, sort of 10, 10, right, all the way at the end. So let's say here, right, this can then start at 1. Now, if we want, we can go length, and this will be length of grid, right? And then we can also go for, and let's say here this will be, I mean, let's call it column, right? This can be 1, and then here we can go length, and right, this will then be grid. Now, let's do it like this. So let's go grid of row, because what this will do, well, this will get the length of, basically the length of the row, right? So here it's going to be 10. Now, in this case, technically we don't need to do this because, well, it's going to be a square array, right? So yeah, both of them are going to be the same. But let's imagine we had like a 3x4 array. So we've got 3 rows and 4 columns. Well, then, of course, the length of the array, right, that's going to be 3. But let's say the length of the specific row, right, that's going to be 4. Okay, so they're going to be different. However, in this example, because it's a square array and because it's kind of, because it's not going to change, I'm just going to directly use the variable here, right, grid size. Right, and then if I just delete that, and then what we want to do in order to assign, let's go grid, right, this is going to be row, then column, and let's just go, and then, here we'll just do this. Right, then we can just go next column, and then let's just go next row. And I think if we run that, it should work. However, in order to actually print this, let's probably create a procedure, because we might have to use this code more than once. So let's go public procedure, let's call it output, maybe output grid, and let's just go end procedure. Right, now honestly, like, we can just copy this, so I'm just going to copy it. Right, however, if I guess if you feel you need more practice, looping through 2D arrays, then try and write it out yourself, right, try and remember how to do it. Right, now what we can do, basically we can just go output. Alright, but there will be a small problem with this, and let's just run this, right, let's call it, right, and then we can actually run it. Let's hope this works. Let's go 5, and so we see the problem with this, and the problem is, well, because we're outputting, right, each cell is going to be on a new line, because output always outputs to a new line. So what we actually have to do is, well, we have to make a string, right, consisting of the entire row. So basically, we're going to have the first 5, right, that's going to be one string, and they're all just going to be appended to each other, right, or concatenated to each other. And then once we've got that entire row, right, then we output the entire row in one go, rather than outputting each cell individually. So in order to do that, well, we can just declare another variable, let's call it line, let's say that's going to be of type string. Here we'll just assign it, or maybe initialize it with an empty string, and then rather than outputting, right, then we're just going to go line. We're then going to assign this, right, this will then be line, right, so basically line and the current cell. And then, so this is going to, again, it's going to loop through, column 1, column 2, column 3, right, when it gets to the end, well, when it gets to the end is going to be here, right, and then this is where we can output. And then if we go output line, right, this should, let's see, and okay, so we see this works, right, we've got a nice 5x5 grid. So I think that's fine, and now what we can do, we actually need to think kind of how many times we need to loop around. So I kind of played around with this, but I think if I remember, we can just say 4, and let's call this offset. Alright, this offset can start at 0, and then we'll just go until grid size, and then div2. And honestly, this was a bit of trial and error, to be honest, but what we can think of is that, so basically this offset, this is going to be kind of how indented, or how offset the current character is that we're kind of animating. So again, like I said here, well, right, this green one, for example, right, this is just going to be, row 1, column 1. So basically no offset. But then if we look at this orange one, and that's a little bit annoying. Okay, there we go. If we look at this orange one, well, here, the column, the column is not going to be offset, okay, because the column is just the length. But if we look here, well, the row has actually been offset of 1, right? But then, for example, when we go the next time around, well, the next time around is going to be basically this green. Well, this is then be moved in, 1 position, right? So here the offset would then be 1, because we can calculate the position as sort of, row plus offset, and then the column will just be, column plus offset. And yeah, I think we go div2 because basically that means, well, when it gets to the middle, right, then it's just going to stop. Because of course it's going to animate the top, then the right, then the bottom, then the left, then yeah, top, you know. So of course we only need to animate kind of half, right, because it's gonna go round in a circle. Yeah, that might be a bit confusing, but let's just try this, and then if it doesn't work, you know, we can kind of try and fix the errors. So right, let's just go next offset just so I don't forget. And then I think first, I mean, let's try and just animate this top row. So again, we can probably think, I mean, we're going to need a variable, let's say, for the row. So yeah, okay, I mean, let's just go maybe row, and let's go column. All right, and then yeah, we can make those integers. Yeah, or in fact, maybe I won't need that. I mean, let's just check. So in order to do this first one, well, here then we just want to loop through the columns. So let's say for column, and yeah, I'm just going to comment these because I might have to give them a different name. So here we say, well, the column is going to be 1 and then plus offset. All right, and then if we notice, well, the offset starts at 0, so that's fine, right? Because then we just got 1 plus 0, which is going to be, yeah, this column here, right, column 1. And then here we want to go to, right, and then this will be, well, let's say grid size. Right, now, of course, on the first time, it's going to go to the grid size, which is 5. But if we look the next time, well, the next time it's going to go in 1. So then it's going to go, yeah, grid size minus offset. But of course, you know, since offset starts at 0, well, this will be, yeah, 4, 1, 2, 5, right, in this case, if we've got a 5 by 5. And I think then what we can do, maybe let's create a procedure. Let's call it set cell. And let's say here this can take the row. So if we think the row, this can actually just be the offset plus 1. Because again, I mean, the offset is going to be 0. So if we do 0 plus 1, that's going to get us to 1. And then, yeah, the next time around, well, then the offset is going to be 1. So then we've got, you know, 1 plus 1, right, that's going to be 2, which is going to be here. So yeah, let's try this and see if it works. So let's go row plus offset. In fact, sorry, right, row should just be 1, I think. Yeah, that should be fine. Right, the column, well, the column is just going to be, yeah, this, you know, for variable. And then let's say here we can just have the color, right? So the, yeah, I mean let's go with this green, that's fine. Okay, and then let's just go next, yeah, next column. And this will be a procedure, so let's use call. Right, so what we can do then, let's say, and in fact, you know, I was doing classes yesterday, so I was using public. I guess here, yeah, this is not a class, right, so we don't need public. Right, so here what we can do, let's go, you know, I was doing it again. Right, let's say procedure, this is going to be set cell, and maybe let's just change this to a capital letter. Right, and then so here this is going to be the row, right, then we're going to have the column, right, these will both be integers, and then let's say maybe, I don't know, I mean, let's call it like, maybe cell or something, or I mean let's call it emoji, or yeah, whatever. Right, okay, that's going to be a character. Right, I'm just going to move this across a bit. Right, again, I'm going to say end procedure, and then I think what we can do, we're probably going to want to have a delay. So if we go up here, let's go and we can maybe assign the constant first. So let's say delay, and all right, actually for constants I'll give it an uppercase. Let's say this delay can just be maybe just 1 second for the moment, right, just so it's easy to see. So I think what we can do, let's try go and wait. So again, this is a procedure, so let's use call. Right, let's say wait, then we will set it. Yeah, so let's go then grid. This will be, well, index, yeah, the row index, right, then the column index. Right, then we will just assign that with the new emoji. Right, and then if we go call, so I'm, okay, I mean, maybe, I mean, let's just sort of experiment with the order. So I'm thinking maybe if we go wait, right, then we can output the grid. So yeah, that should output. And then if we just go, let's say clear, and let's say clear, and yeah, that takes no parameters, right? So this should wait for 1 second, then it's going to output the grid, then it's going to clear it, and then of course it's going to go to the next cell, right? So let's just try this and see if it works. Okay, and that did nothing. Right, so maybe I've made a stupid mistake. Okay, alright, so I think I know why. Probably, yeah, because this is in the wrong order. So let's put this before. Right, now let's try again. So let's try 5. And yeah, okay, this seems to work. Yeah, alright, and then it stops. I mean, it's a little bit annoying that it's going to clear at the end as well, which I guess we don't really want. I mean, you know, we could just have another output grid at the end, although that's not really ideal, to be honest. I mean, can we put this... I mean, right, let's try if we put these here at the start. So, right, let's wait, then let's clear, then let's output. Right, let's see if this works. And yeah, I think 1 second is a bit slow at the moment, but... Right, okay, yeah, so I think this is fine. And then we don't need, you know, extra output grids at the end or anything. Yeah, and let's also just delete this initial output grid, right? We don't really want that. And probably let's change this to maybe 100, just sort of get it a bit faster. Right, so I think, I mean, this is actually fine. And then all we need to do, we just need to copy this, and then just output the right, then output the bottom, then output the left. So let's think, I mean, what the right is going to be. And, you know, you can pause the video if you want. But you just need to think, well, what's going to be, you know, the column sort of, well, let's say the row value, the column value, and then, you know, also the next time, right, what's going to be the row value, the column value. So if you want to have a go at this, just pause it. But yeah, if not, I'll just try and do it myself. So here then we're saying 4, and then I guess the thing that's going to change is going to be the row value, right? The column value is going to stay the same. So let's say row. And then in this time, well, this can be the offset, and let's say the offset +2, because if the offset starts at 0, well, we then want to start at, you know, sort of row 2. So yeah, well, you know, so we could go 2 plus offset or offset +2. You know, it doesn't really matter. Right, and then the row, well, this is then going to be the length, so that can be grid size, and then grid size minus offset. Because again, the first time it's going to go to, let's say, row 5, but then the next time it's only going to go to row 4. So yeah, let's go grid size, and that's going to be minus offset. I mean, all right, yeah, let's not copy it, let's just do it again. So let's go call, that's going to be set cell. Right, so here then, so the row is just going to be this row variable. Now let's think about the column, right? The column is just going to be, well, in this case, it's going to be the grid size. But I think here it should also be the same as this actually, right? So grid size minus offset. I mean, yeah, let's check, is that right? So that's the column, yeah, because it's going to start here, column 5, right? Then the next time it's going to go, well, 5 minus 1, which is going to be, yeah, here a 4. Right, and then so we say this one is going to be the orange. Alright, and then let's just go next row and let's test that, see if it works. And now it's going to be a lot faster. Let's just go 5 again. Right, I mean, I think that's working. The reason why is because, well, this delay. Right, hang on. Let's actually use this delay variable here. Yeah, rather than hard coding 1,000. Right, let's just try again because I didn't really see. Yeah, and I mean, I think that's working. All right, and then what we can do again, I mean, if you know how to do this, right, pause the video, try and get this bottom one, so the blue. Now, I mean, I'm probably just going to copy this because it's going to be quite similar. So here we say the column, right? So here the column is actually going to start at the grid size minus, let's say -1 minus offset. So this will be grid size, that's going to be -1 minus offset. Because again, while the grid size is 5, then 5 minus offset, well, offset is 0, so 5 minus 5 is 0. So that means we need to minus an additional 1. Right, of course, the next time it's going to be, well, 5 minus 1 minus 1, okay, because, well, offset is going to be 1, and then, of course, this -1, right, so that's going to be 3 here. So, yeah, that should be fine, and then let's say here, well, here, in this case, we want to go to 1, so I think we can just go 1 plus offset, because, yeah, the next time we're only going to go to 2. Right, sorry, 1 plus offset. And then here, because we're going in reverse order, well, these steps should be -1. Right, and then so the cell we want to set, this one is going to be, so I think what this is going to be the grid size and then minus offset. Because again, we're starting on row 5, right? Then it's going to be row 4, row 3. I mean, I think in this case, there'll be no row 3 actually. Right, and then the column, yeah, that's just going to be this column variable. And right, let me copy this. And yeah, let's run this, just try. Hopefully it's going to be faster. Yeah, okay, so I think that works. Right, and then I'm just going to copy this one. Let's try and do it quickly. Hang on. Right, let's copy the red square. I mean, that's annoying. It's kind of right, let me just run it again just so I can sort of see the 5x5 grid. Right, so here then the row, well, this is going to start at the grid size. So let's say what grid size, that will be -1 and then minus offset. So kind of the same as we did here. Here this is going to go until, I mean this will be the same as this one, right? So just 1 plus offset. The step is also going to be -1. Right, that's fine. And then the row, so the row is going to be, right, that's going to be, well, okay, sorry, yeah, the row is just going to be the row variable. And then this one, this should just be 1 plus offset. Alright, so yeah, let's just test that, see if it works. And again, let's say 5. Okay, so not quite. This one just overrode there. So why is that happening? So 1 plus offset. Right, I guess this one here should be 2 plus offset. Yeah, because again, well, offset is going to start at 0, right? So 2 plus 0 is only going to go to this one. Let's try again. And yeah, okay, so that seems to work. Let's try also, you know, we've tried for an odd number, right? Let's try for 6, so an even number. Yeah, okay, that seems to work. And you know, we can also try 7, right? Just make sure it's working. And yeah, okay, right, that's working. Now, I think actually, I mean, like honestly, you know, we can stop there if we want. But I think for mine, I actually had it where the delay is actually decreasing. So that gives it the kind of effect that, you know, the animation is getting faster and faster, right, as it's, you know, getting towards the center. So yeah, almost like, you know, you've got something spinning, right? It sort of spins faster, yeah, as it curls up, you know, towards the center. So in order to do that, well, maybe I'm just going to change this delay and we'll just make it an integer, right, rather than a constant. Yeah, just a variable integer. So let's call it delay, and let's say this delay, maybe this can start at 100. And then what we can do, right, we're going to wait on the delay, and maybe we can just go maybe delay, and let's go, for example, just like -1 or -2 each time. And then we can check, because while we don't want the delay to go to 0, we also don't want it to go negative. So let's say the delay, the minimum value can be, for example, 20 milliseconds. So yeah, if delay is less than or equal, well, let's say if delay is less than 20, right, then we're just going to set it back to be 20. Yeah, okay, I mean, that should be fine. I guess we could also check here, right? We could say if delay is, greater than 22, right, then we can do the minus. Yeah, otherwise, not. But yeah, I think this is fine. Let's try this. So let's maybe try with a bigger grid, like 10. And I mean, hopefully this should. And yeah, okay, so that's quite nice, right? That's definitely getting faster. All right, so I think, really that covers everything in this class. Now, honestly, this video was a bit all over the place. I didn't really prepare. Yeah, there was a few mistakes and things, but hopefully, what I've said makes sense. And again, you have to remember, well, if we just let's go here to the utilities, right, or kind of extra modules. These are not included in the exam. Right, but you can use these just to create more interesting programs, on the actual website. Yeah, and I think also try catch as well. Right, so again, any questions, well, just ask in the comments, send me an email, and yeah, if these videos do get more views, then of course leave a comment for sort of what you want me to make in future videos. That will probably just be exam papers, going over exam questions. Also, like I mentioned before, maybe going over some of the challenges. But yeah, if you do have any other requests, then just let me know. Alright, so thanks.